Hey guys, Zack here, and this is my review of One Punch Man Season 1, Episode 11, The Dominator of the Universe. So this episode opens with Guy and Boros, who are the first mate and captain respectively. They start discussing about how strong Saitama is and about how Saitama was able to defeat everything in a single punch and basically just mow his way through the entire army and everybody they sent to intercept him. Boros tries to send Grorbus, Melzigard, and Guy together, but Grorbus was kind of mowed down in like the 5 seconds we saw him on screen. So yeah, there's a problem with that. And meanwhile, there's a news bulletin that goes out about how the ship has parked itself over City A, and people are wondering whether it's going to attack again. While the three Sears antagonists we've seen up until this point, Hammerhead, Genus, and Sonic, all react differently. Hammerhead and Genus are appalled that something has happened because they had a change of heart. They're now better people, and you actually do see what they've done with their lives at this point. Hammerhead is in fact keeping his promise to Saitama and deciding to get a job, and actually is filling out his resume at the time of this broadcast is going out. And Genus, of all things, decided to open a sushi shop with his last remaining specimen, Armored Gorilla. And I mean, I don't fully understand why, but I think there's an explanation in the manga. I think the explanation is that Genus uses his genetic engineering to basically create food that can supply itself, so that it never spoils and can constantly replenish itself. So he has an endless supply of fish, which is kind of cool. And Sonic is just preparing to go in for a fight. Nothing to join. Meanwhile, Melzigard, who has recovered from Puri prisoner's attack, has healed, and the apprentice, I learned his name. His name is Ian. Ian. I don't know. It's got two I's with an A in between. It's got two I's and two A's in alternating order. Whatever you want his name to be, that's what it's pronounced. Ian, I'm gonna call him Ian. Ian reveals that the monster has regenerative properties and every blow can kill, so they should be careful. Meanwhile, Melzigard is concerned, and after being sent flying by Bang, decides to send one of his heads up to the ship to warn Guy about what's happening. And Metal Bat, he catches him and starts fighting with the head, and while the other S-Class heroes hold off the main body, because at this point they've all merged into one big super Melzigard. And Melzigard has a bit of a interdimensional talk with like an interpersonal thought talk with Guy, who is kind of revealed to have telepathy. He's able to speak in other people's heads, as something that Saitama remarks a little bit later, but not for a while. And learns that Saitama has boarded the ship and is taking everybody out, but he isn't. They aren't able to. And the fight, for the most part, has gone to a standstill between Melzigard and the S-Class heroes. They can't hurt him, and he's having a pretty hard time killing them. So the second time that Melzigard and Guy speak, that Melzigard requests an orbital bombardment from the ship, which Guy reluctantly puts in a request for. Meanwhile, Bad has discovered the weak point of the monster, a little blue marble in his head, Yeah, a little blue, one of those old blue shooter marbles that you use. Yeah, he discovers that they have one of those in each of the heads, and discovers that if you break them, then the head dies, which the S-Class heroes soon start to exploit, and in the time they're off screen have defeated several of the heads, leaving only 2 left. Meanwhile, Saitama tricks Gyangan Shoop into giving him directions to the cabin and fights Gyangan Shoop, and Gyangan Shoop loses mostly because Saitama is too OP for his psychic abilities and winds up killing him by throwing a rock through his head. It's kind of funny because Saitama is just because Gyangan Shoop is like this big intimidating octopus man who with psychic powers, and Saitama is just like, you don't really, you're kind of wasting your psychic powers here a little bit, bud. All you're doing is really throwing pebbles around. Look, even I can do that. Watch, and then throws it through his brain. And then at this point, Kid Emperor reveals that the energy levels for the ship have been steadily increasing because of the requests that Gyangan Shoop put in to the Cannon Master. I don't know his name, but he's never actually given a name. And Moomin Rider, along with Stinger and Lightning Max, they proceed to bring people to the Heroes Association to act as kind of a sort of shelter and save as many people as they can. Meanwhile, in all this time that they're off screen, the Cannon Master has finally gotten the cannons fully charged up, but is having a hard time getting to Gyangan Shoop because he's, well, dead. And sends the orbital bombardment down on where Gyangan Shoop is, but Tatsumaki stops it before it can kill anybody and redirects it with her psychic powers. Meanwhile, Saitama has gotten instructions on where Boros is from the crew and is headed toward him. And Malzagard finally decides to change tactics and sends Sable Fang flying with a single punch and embeds him into a building, which is presumed to have killed him, but we'll wait on that for a bit because next week we actually learn what happens to him. So don't put all your eggs in one basket yet. And Saitama and Boros exchange names after Saitama barges his way in, basically. And Boros reveals that 20 years ago he was obsessed with controlling the universe and destroying everything in his path, but then realized that he was just doing it out of boredom and wasn't entirely into it. So eventually he does come across a seer, an alien seer, who gives him a prophecy that one day he would find a worthy opponent who would be able to face him, and is sent in the direction of Earth, where he does eventually find him in the form of Saitama. Although, fun fact here, it was 20 years since Boros got the prediction, and Saitama is 23. So in the time it took Saitama was basically 3 years old when Boros got that prophecy, and it might have been a little bit messed up to fight a toddler. Yeah. And then Saitama reveals why that's stupid and punches him, but Boros survives the punch and is the first character on screen to do so. There are 2 people who have actually survived a fight with Saitama. Well, 3. Well, 3, but there's like 3, but Boros doesn't count because he is eventually defeated. Oops, spoiler alert. But after this, Boros' armor, which is used to hold in his immeasurable power, shatters, and he remarks this, and Saitama just basically becomes a meme at this point because it's probably one of the most quoted moments in this entire series, because it's just Saitama's reaction is, okay, that's it. You can see why this became a meme, because Saitama just doesn't care, is immediately upset because Lord Boros has has decided to attack his home, and Boros just doesn't acknowledge that Boros is so powerful. He's just like, okay, this is a thing now. Alright, let's go. And go they do, but that's for the next episode, which is basically what the entire next episode is. Okay, so this episode does a lot of establishing. Well, not really. It basically is pretty straightforward. Saitama, it basically tells us the tale of the S-Class heroes fighting Melzagar on the ground while Saitama is fighting his way through the ship, and the two plots interconverge toward the end. But other than that, that's really it. There's a plot A and a plot B, and they converge slightly at the end. But it's not major. It's like these two plots started out the same, split into two subplots, reconverged at the end, and kept going like that. But yeah, this episode doesn't do much except to establish that the S-Class heroes are pretty powerful and continued fighting, despite being unable to find a weakness in Melzagar's defenses, while Saitama is just defeating everything with a single punch as always. And this episode mainly serves to showcase these two contrasts in power. How the S-Class heroes are actually putting their life on the line, and Saitama's just like, okay, I'm bored. Where's my nachos? Yeah, that's essentially what it is. He's just punching his way through enemies without any real threat, because there's no real stakes for him, and everybody else is just fighting for their lives. It's kind of funny in a way. I mean, it's kind of a dark humor, but you get the idea. But yeah, if you guys have seen this episode of One Punch Man, what did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comments down below or over on my Discord server, link in the description as always. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you liked it, hit that like and the subscribe button. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!